What's happening, YouTube? I'm here with my man Tone, DJ Dialtone, Team Demo. This is Uber Beats, sort of.
Stay tuned.
Hold up. We actually did. I stopped here to pick him up for Uber Beats, and we went to the lab and ended up filming a very nice session in your lab.
I think so, brother. You pulled out a lot of joints, man. This was kind of fun.
Yeah.
This was very fun. Very, very fun. Good to see my brother Gadget.
All right, man. So Uber Beats, sorta, and be on the lookout for the video.
Stay tuned.
Peace.
Peace, world. He wasn't like one of those people who's like, oh, I can't be around it. You know. How did I load up? Oh, this is see me on these motherfucking floppy disk over here, Gadget. You know? Got me in here sweating. Let's see, what's it? Let's play this job. It's just like, it's just some old shit. It's hard to give up bad habits. Well, it never was a bad habit, but it's hard to give up this baby. I still can make her sing.
It still works.
Still works, man. I still can make her sing, man.
There's still people trying to buy these.
You know, I just wish
eBay.
I wish there was some kind of software that was just so basic that it was like, boom, here it is, just like they do it with the MP. And somebody, and Sonic went out of business. But I'm surprised nobody in the market, and I know their shit probably similar. Trust me, I know it's just the same thing, sequencer, whatever, but if somebody could transition just this basic bullshit over to the screen, forget about it, dog. Forget about it. I mean, it's just something about the sound, something about the bounce it gives you. It just was a game changer for us. I remember when Wise got the first one, and that set it off for the whole crew. That shit, it almost allowed us, it allowed us to do crazy shit with vocals even at the time when we were just like recording and stuff. But I just remember when D first got it. I remember when he told me, he was like, yo, this is the new shit, the ASR 10. I'm like, and we were always keyboard guys because we come from that Casio family. We come from that Casio. And it's funny, Gadge, it's funny how when you go through hip hop history and, especially when you're a hip hop junkie like myself or a scientist, and you hear how all the greats, a lot of them started off on that same fucking Casio, We really thought we invented some new shit. I'll never forget the day that Danny called, like, yo, son, I know there's a way we can sample using the Casio. And I was like, for real? And I remember me and Jason literally took every record that I had at the crib. Like, we rated all our family's collections first. But we took every, like 2 bags worth, walked way up Berk Center Parkway just to go see what we could do with this shit. And we just sampled, like, 30-second loops all night. Just like, when we got the 4-track, which is an ill story from the homie Ian that kept Mill, because he just took a liking to us because we was young kids always running in there buying up all the hip hop shit. And he knew how thorough we was every Tuesday, like, yo, we need that. And he was like, yo, y'all motherfuckers are passionate. He sold us that first 4-track. When Danny hooked it, and I remember, I'll never forget the day I looked at him, I said, would that help us? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, we all put in like either went to our parents or did whatever we had to do. We like put in some amount of money to get it. And I remember we took the game to the next level because we had 2 Casios now. So now we had 2 Casios. So you could do bop, 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 bop. Put it on one track.
Right.
Sample, dee 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 da dee. You know, then you had two shit, and then that was going on the next track. You know, we utilized those four like a motherfucker, bro. We used them joints. Let's see what I got here. It's just something I made something the other night. It's basic. I ain't done with it yet, but yeah. Since I'm playing this joint, let me play you this other joint I made the other night.
Then after that, I want to hear cocaine, because anything that has cocaine on the disc gotta be fire.
You know, it's gonna be messed up if I fuck around and put that shit on. It's like all they had was the 808 or something on it. I'll be like, that's nothing on here, guys. Shit, who knows how old this motherfucker is? Fuck it, let's listen to it just for the shit of it.
Did Crime Wave change the game for you with 50 Cent pick that beat?
In a sense, it did. You know, definitely. And I didn't even say. I mean, it changed everything. It put a little respect on the name. It was a big accomplishment for us.
Right. Because you guys been grinding for years.
Man. Putting out records, and we were ambitious young men that really didn't have any idea of what we were really biting into. We were trying to put out records, run a record label, be artists all at the same time, thrusting people into positions they probably didn't really want to be in. They just wanted to be artists. But we got it done. But even at that, it just never seemed like it was as easy as we,
right.
Woos, all this, you got to remember, all that independent wave, everything was coming out. Everybody, the independent record was the way to go. Stretch and Bob was on fire. We're talking early 90s. So it was like, the whole attitude was like, fuck that. Let's do this shit on our own,
Right.
And
I bought a couple of those early 12ers.
I know you did.
With the green label.
The green label, classic.
Yeah.
Classic fucking the Lower Life Forms.
Yeah.
The Lower Life Forms record.
12-inch dance records.
12. And remember, God rest the dead. Tower, man.
Yeah.
Tower was big for all of us.
I started off at Tower.
I remember you worked with Chaz.
Yeah.
I remember how we could bring up a mixtape or a 12-inch and put it on consignment with no problems. And sell it out of Tower. And that was a game changer for all of us, especially the one y'all worked at too. Duke Street Tower was on fire for a minute.
Yeah. Tabby Bonet made a killing.
Wow.
Off of Tower Records.
Wow.
With his first single. His first album.
What was his first album?
It was the one with Put Me in the Pocket on it. I don't know the name of the album, but he was going through consignment with Tower.
That's right, damn, that's that long ago.
As was Lettucey. Lettucey made a killing with consignment at Tower.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Son, I'm telling you, it was such a joy to go through there. It was crazy. And Team Demolition kind of formed out of us. Like, we were just having a collective as a family. We had all this talent. But even if you can go back to if anybody's got the Demolition Circle tape, they know what I'm talking about. Shout out to RBI and the whole loop and everybody that we met up at the Howard. Man, when we met up at Howard Hip Hop Conference, and I could go on. I got stories for days, man. People really don't understand how this town was thriving with record stores and talent shows, and it still is. Sometimes I look at your segments and I laugh to myself. I'm like, all these guys are from this area. They're from the DMV. You gotta be fucking kidding me. That we ain't, and all of us just wanted to make our stamp. Like, yeah, we from the DMV, whether we come from the VA side, people from the city side, you from the Maryland side, whatever, but we wanted to make a stamp to champion hip hop for this area. love go-go, love the culture, whatever, but that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to come out and be like, there's a classic. There's some niggas who put out a classic hip-hop album or made a classic hip-hop beat or something from the DMV.
There's no Illmatic or Reasonable Doubt from the DMV.
Not from us, and not even really a rapper. No disrespect to anybody, but there's just nobody that just holds that timelessness. There should have been a motherfucker that came out of DC by now, shit, or at least 5 or 6. I mean, this is a major market. Everybody had to stop through here.
Like, how did hip hop pass us to get to St. Louis
and
like back then? I can see now, but back then, like, we're what, 4 hours from New York, 2 hours from Philly. Like, how did hip hop pass us?
Especially like again, where everybody had to come down here and do their show, sell their merch,
and DC. DC was probably one of the biggest markets outside of New York and Philly. As far as hip hop.
And plus we were doing shit like that. We were doing talent shows. We had all kinds of platforms for people that were showing off their talent. And I'm like, we got skipped over? Like, how the fuck? What happened? But, and even the guys that championed the shit, your Chuckies and just like dudes that were doing things behind the scenes, but it's like, we don't get no credit. It's just like, it's forgotten where like a lot of dudes should be helmed. What's my man? Forgive me if I forget the brother's name. My man who did all A. Marie shit.
Rich Harrison.
Come on, man. Retarded, but it's just not that DMV. Like you talk to somebody outside, they're just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that dude is dope," but they don't really know he's from here. Right. You know what I'm saying? Not that, but that shit's kind of was always important to us. We wanted to come out and be that guy.
You know where Kendrick is from. You know where Nipsey Hussle is from.
And we had a collective of people that really could. I thought we had like a strong family, a strong crew of talent. And when Dirty Gusto comes and we put the video out, and people were buzzing and people are clicking. But you think about now. You put us right now with YouTube, all these outlets, all these platforms that you got to put your music out for, where you ain't really got to pay crazy amounts of money and all of this and that to promote, to get people to listen. All these forms, Facebook, whatever, MySpace, whatever you say. Think about if we'd have put that out with the video at that time on Smash, and then you go back then, I could tell y'all how hard it was to get an ad in the source. How hard it was to get to anybody to play the video, much less anybody.
A video costs $5,000 to $10,000 to shoot back then. $5,000 to $10,000. That's why people didn't have videos before YouTube.
And then you don't even want to know what they were asking for, at BET or MTV to play the motherfucker for like one couple minutes. Like you thinking it's like, yo, I'm dope, and I'm gonna submit this shit, and they gonna see that I'm dope, and they gonna want to play this shit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not how it goes.
Little brother saw that.
No, and that's where it's like, I think it's an amazing time to be in right now. It's an amazing time to be in right now, like even for older cats like myself.
You can create a record, film the video within 24 hours.
24 hours. I've done it with you. I've seen you come to the rescue to a lot of us. Like, yo, nigga, I'll come, I'll film the shit, and let's just get this motherfucker out. And it's just amazing to me. Like, I can go online and I'm just like, I see Dirty Gusto on YouTube, and I see Teamwork, and I see that I can all kinds of work. We got all our projects are up there, and I'm just like, well, shit. What's to stop anybody from getting out here and making shit and keeping it popping? But kind of going back to what you had said before, Crime Wave changed the game, and Haram with Sean Price was a big moment. And
you guys did that?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I did that shit.
okay.
Yeah, man. See?
Yeah, I
see.
See, the problem is no album credits.
And it's nowadays, it's like you looking at shit.
If you would have told me, I would have never known.
I can't even blame you. Sometimes I look at these, like all the shit I'm like into, or shit I'm just I think is popping, and I'll go. Thank God YouTube at least has that pull down screen where you can see the people got hit putting their songs and putting who produced it, but that's not on everything.
No,
that ain't on everything.
It ain't on Spotify.
There's so many dudes, and I'm like, oh, this nigga's crazy. And then I'm looking at his track record, I'm like, oh, okay, this motherfucker been putting in work.
You gotta go to Wikipedia now to get people's discographies.
And that's crazy to me, man. When credits was everything to us.
Everything.
I nerded out on credits so much.
Dude, that was make or break for a record.
You know what's very slept on back in the days that was such an incredible promotional tool, and I don't even know if rappers realized they were doing it? Shout-outs.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days when it was like crack. When it was like that new strain of weed, you were like, yo, who's this? This ultramagnetic. Oh shit! And then you would read the back. Oh, they shouting out this person, that person. Can't be bad. If they're shouting them out, they can't be but so whack. I gotta go hear this dude.
Yo, those old cold chillin' shout outs.
Oh my god.
Dog.
Kane and them don't even know. I remember Kane would list like, it was like Hammer, Jungle Bro. It was so many people.
Yeah.
Too short. If you look at those shout outs, it was so many artists. That's why I'm like, this whole ununification or this fluke persona that they like to put on hip hop, it did not exist. It was so more like, yo, let me help the next man up. And it wasn't even a question about, okay, this nigga's down in Miami making booty shake, or this dude is down here making this dance shit. Everybody was shouting out everybody.
Right.
You know, and just, you know, not to sound like an oaf, but everybody was dope. I'm not gonna say everybody was overly dope, but everything was dope because it was so experimental and everybody was trying to be dope. There was nobody really trying to be lazy. You were trying to make your town known.
Yeah.
Just like we was, you know, nothing has changed. We was trying to be the ghetto boys. We was trying to come out of DMV like, oh, we coming out putting on, like the way they put on Fifth Ward in Houston. That shit was like news, you know, like I've heard like that shit was like, oh, I can go drive to Houston and kind of soak up what they saying and kind of feel the vibe out here. And same with Cali Cats. And then I know there's probably some dude in Nebraska or something who's dope just like all of us, and he's probably like, yeah, ain't nobody know that we out here killing it, that we making some head nod shit, you know?
Right.
It's funny to me. Like, where's Jake? Jake one's from Seattle, right?
Seattle, yeah.
Come on, man. It's just like, and I think only motherfuckers like me know that shit because I just be the nerding out on my hip hop shit. I get like a hip hop snob. I'm like, I want to know, you know?
Yeah, I remember. What was the cats from Alaska was getting shined for? What was the Bondsman? Something, the Bail Bondsman?
I remember them. Where was Anticon? I saw
Minnesota?
I think Minnesota. Rest in peace to they homie who passed.
Yeah.
I just remember that was interesting because, you know, you were just getting different 12 inches, and I remember my homies from Houston. Oh man.
Pause.
Gadge, I got their single in here too.
Which one?
Oh man, but I can't remember these dudes' names. I met them out with me, JD, and Wise went to San Francisco for the hip hop college conference. One of the best trips I ever had.
Hieroglyphics?
No, he wasn't. No, I would know that.
Oh.
No. Yeah, I would know that. They were dope. Like, it was a 3-man team. They were from out of Houston. Straight head nods, straight boom back killer shit, and they had like 2 or 3 12 inches that was banging. You know, they had a dope DJ. Nah, but I heard of them too. I'd have to pull it out. Pause. If you see, hey, come on, man, we grown men. We don't do that, man. We don't do that pause shit. Come on, man. We grown. We niggas, you know, I can't have cock on my mind 24/7 a day. I don't know about you niggas out there with cock on your mind.
Play the beat, man.
Let me play this joint. Oh, let's see. Some old kind of niggas. I'm not done with it yet, of course. Y'all getting the uncut raw shit. You can't tell me you can't go on this joint, man. I need Conway on this. I need Benny and Conway on this ASAP. Stop playing. Hear what was on Cocaine Cowboy?
Yeah.
Let's hear what's on Cocaine Cowboy. That's some basics, man. Let's see what's on here, man. This town was so incredible. You had your memory lanes, you had your orifices, you had your you know, the world famous record and tape exchange in Fairfax. You got, and I'm gonna say world famous just because that was like one of our first havens. Fuck it.
Yeah, the Kent Mills and Waxy Maxis.
Oh man, and God bless 12-inch all the way to DJ Hut.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, DJ Hut.
Please, man.
Capital City Records.
Man. Oh wow. You know what? You know what's funny on Capital City Records? I'm one of the sleepers. I am one of the sleepers. I missed out on a lot of Capital City Records because I would hear about it and didn't kind of think it didn't exist. Then I'd be like, "What niggas talking about?" And then I finally had run into it because we were always in and out of every place. I just remember even the record pools back then was ridiculous. You man, remember Eardrum and the ill little conferences he'd have. I remember I called Common and Diamond. Yeah, over there by where the old PGC radio station used
all
to
the
be.
DJs would come. What was it, like first Friday every month or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. I remember catching Diamond D on his second album tour. That's another, see, going back to DC where everybody came through here. The homie Common on I think it was about Resurrection Time. And I remember we were all geeking off of, I Used to Love Her and the Resurrection single with the Two Large Professor remixes. I mean, we were geeking out. Everybody, we were running. That was one of the most packed ones I've seen. But then he had like ill cats too, R&B. It was always, he was a very good dude. I wasn't, it's funny. I used to just go with my homie DJ Soul, and I would go with him, and he would, cop all the records and shit. And I just would just come kind of for the conversation. I was always an independent buyer. I was like, which I think was a dickhead move. I probably should have joined the joint. I just enjoyed being around. He was a very cool dude.
Yeah.
A very cool dude. Let's see what's on Cocaine Cowboys. Let's see what this shit is. I ain't heard this beat in forever. That's the type of shit make you want to scratch. Forgive me, world. But I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. Sometimes you gotta get it out any way you can, man. You gotta get your music out, whatever feels good, man.
Exactly.
Whatever feels good.
I mean, this is the easiest time to put out music.
And you can be so creative. I just miss the artwork aspect and just picking the. Are you like me? Do you miss the just the actual CD or the actual record, the actual problem?
I miss the vinyl artwork.
I miss that vinyl artwork, man. I miss turning that shit over and seeing the credits and seeing who produced what. And
that's one thing I really hate. Well, even though the Def Jam logo is iconic, most of those 12 inches was just the purple jacket. Like,
right?
I would have loved to seen like.
You would love to have seen like the artists on there,
yeah.
And every now and then they would pop out. But you're right. Every now and then, I never thought about that. You remember the iconic Rebel Without a Pause, Public Enemy with no. It's You're Gonna Get Yours with the Terminator, where they're all on the back with the cars in the background, and you were like, yo, who are these niggas right here? Who are these dudes? Oh my god! Everybody, I remember I made a T-shirt out of that shit. Everybody would be like, yo, I loved that cover.
Yo, I really think Def Jam and what's Steve Rifkin's label?
Loud.
They would have sold more records if they had like graphic covers. I think that's why people like buying vinyl, because of the artwork. Because some people would hang it in their house.
I never thought about it like that. I'm trying to remember. Loud didn't have a lot of great artwork.
Not for the 12 inches.
Ooh. This don't even make no sense when you put on shit like this and you're just like, oh,
What'd you make this like?
it could be 5 years ago or some shit. Because I'm trying to think, there might be a version with the bass line and everything on it. I might have already took this to the studio, got with Dr. Wise, but I'm not sure. This shit is hard. I mean, it said I go hard. Gadget picked the beat. Gadget picked the beat. I see I had these sequences. It might have been one of those mistake beats where you like
A mistake beat.
like kind of like I might have been in the middle of something and I started making another beat. It was just like got quick. I was like, fuck it, let me just save these sequences and save the shit and let me be out. I don't know why it goes 1, 4, 5. I hear the hi-hats changing a little bit. Come on, man. Oh. Okay, I don't even know what sequence it is. Wait a minute. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to resurrect this one. This needs to go back out like immediately.
Yeah.
This is hard. This is hard, man. I love it. I was in here. It's like something about this. Something about. Something is so comfortable about when you put the sample down on the keys and it's like it's already kind of, you can go fast, slow, but even when I know there's a long about way you could probably resample in the ASR, and then instead of like doing duplicate with the MPC, when it's so easy, like you can sample something, have the loop, then duplicate, boom, go right to the same loop, and then just split it the fuck up like as much as you want and go to track this and track that. There's like, it's so long about type of shit you'd have to do. Like you'll see me, if I'm chopping up something in 4 or 5 parts, you see me pretty much sample it 4 or 5 times. And then I got to go through and chop up the shit. I remember my man Mooch showed me a way to do it. The great Mooch.
The great
fucking
What up, Mooch?
Oh my God. One of the greatest technicians. One of my, as far as a young cat, one of my great inspirations. And I'm saying it, motherfucker. That's my guy. He showed me one day a way you could do it, but it even was tedious. Like compared to what you could do with this shit, it's just like, it was so tedious of like, okay, now we have to sample it, back on this, rename. It's like, so when I put a sample like, but say if I want to go like, the one thing that's cool about when you put something through the ASR 10 and you put it down on the keys, it's like, say this is, or say that's your original, that's probably how the record was, like, that might even be fast. You got your filters, you can do the full-ons and all the, you can do your full-on, you can do your slow string, you can do your percussion. I think I had this one, nothing. And when you put it down on that key, it's so cool that you can I could play it real slow, real quick. I can play it real fast. I can just, it always seemed foreign when I seen a dude doing it on the MP, and it's like, I know it's probably not that deep, but it just looks weird when you're like, okay, I'm tapping it down when I can't just be like, you can hear that you're slowest and even be like, okay, now I can chop it up and I can catch those little hits. I can catch the where when I see y'all flipping through this shit and like I be like, oh man, what am I doing? I gotta get on it.
But
it just feels good.
With the Renaissance, you can connect the keyboard and do the same thing with key mapping.
With this,
yes. Well, I don't know with the keyboard.
When it comes to the MPK, is it good to use as a controller with the
I would
Renaissance?
say a controller.
Because I know it has its own shit, right?
Yeah.
But does it necessarily go with the Renaissance software?
I think so, but you know what? I have the 49 key Akai keyboard.
Wow. I think I seen your shit.
I just use it for bass lines though. I don't.
Yeah, that's just the only thing I'm thinking is just like I would like to maybe have my bass lines here. But I saw what dudes were capable of doing with this shit, and I was like, well, that seemed like almost like the closest thing to the ASR in a funny way. But I like, to be honest with you, I like seeing the shit. You know, I want to master that shit too.
Like I think it's amazing that Kev Brown and Knots can do bass lines
on that shit, right?
16 pads.
On that shit, it looks so uncomfortable to me. It's like and then when you hear what they're doing, I'm like, yeah, nigga, you got that shit popping, you know. And I guess that's the 16 split or whatever. Or when you, I don't know. I know there's mad science to it, but I hear now going into my hip hop ear, and I'm listening to certain dudes. But there's even been times I thought a dude was using the MPC and they were using the ASR. I could have swore up and down Timberland was an MPC guy. I could have swore up and down like all that, all the crazy when he came with that shit. And Alchemist. They said that he was like an ASR guy. I was like, oh wow, I didn't think that. And
Alchemist created some hits with the ASR.
Man, come on, man.
I think he probably still uses it. And your boy Jake One.
Jake One's an ASR guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I know when I got a chance to meet Al and Evidence, they were talking about the ASR. We had like a good conversation about ASR 10. But it's just one of those things where I'm trying to break out of my shell and master, you know, get with everything. And just expand, man. It's just like there's no limitations with this shit, and you can get shit done so much quicker. You know, it's just time. Sometimes you're stubborn. Even with me and most of my DJ buddies, you know, shout out to RBI and you know the brother Rags and just all the dope DJs, especially the DJs I grew up on. A special shout out to Iron and CeeLo. It was big for me as a young dude, able to see them in the Ritz tearing shit down in there with my fake ID. And all of them cats probably thought I was older because I damn near always had a beard. And I can remember sitting in the DJ booth and the long ass mixer, you know, the turntables are weird. And you know with us DJs, comfortability, you know, being comfortable is everything. It's like fuck is, you know, even when I see Flex and them doing that shit, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And getting the shit they're getting out of it is amazing. But to see Iron up there, as big as he is, so smooth, like I took that shit home so many times watching him and CeeLo do it because I was a dude who really had to just kind of figure it all out on my own. I didn't have a lot of DJ friends coming up young and really didn't know what I was. I was straight belt drive, killing the shit, killing the belt drive. And I remember just finally figuring out 12s is the shit you need. 12s is the real shit. And going away, I had a big ass mixer too with the sample and all that crazy shit. But
were you the DJ of Team Demo?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the cuts you hear is me. All the cuts you hear is on all the projects is me. Or, you know, other than what Chaz was doing with his own shit. Chaz is a good DJ in his own right. But you know, even that shit with Serato, going back to what I was saying, it just feels like you're losing something. It feels weird. I remember, you know, me and Ron talk about this shit all the time, the latencies and weird shit, and I'll see him like, this is what you do to adjust, and I'm like, man, that shit feels weird. Like, it's trying to read my cuts. What do you mean it's trying to read and trying to figure out my shit? Like, what the fuck do you mean?
If you think that's weird, they making turntables without tone arms.
Yo, I seen that. I seen that. That shit's crazy. Yo, that shit's crazy. That shit's
the record's
really
not
amazing.
Gonna skip.
And that's well, you know, and even with, I know you can skip the shit in Serato and all that, but come on, dog. it's not the same as when you was
It's-
really like when you're up there. Oh shit, you know, like even on a bad day, and probably because I might just be off because I mean you got putting the camera on and you as a DJ you're always like, okay, I gotta tear this shit the fuck down, and you might be overdoing some shit, but I just laughed. I'm just sitting here like, man, you really have no real limitation. There's no like adjustments or things you got to do with your body. You could just be as hard as you want on this shit.
Yeah.
You don't got to give a fuck about the table moving or nothing, or
Right.
transform as hard as you want. And to DJs to see what what I like going back to that, seeing what Iron and them were doing, tearing that motherfucking club down, and looking like so effortless with it, and that was amazing to see.
But here's the thing, like the DJs who never use vinyl, just use Serato, they can't do a vinyl party. A vinyl DJ can do Serato, but you can't go backwards.
And that's why I say with the dudes like us with the vinyl, now that we have
some can't.
some can't. Yeah, absolutely, you're absolutely right. But I just look at it as with the technology, when you really know what you can do now, when you come from that vinyl school, when you come from the school of doing it without, it's like and we always used to say this even with making beats and sampling and shit. It's like tampering with the universe. Like I can fucking bend shit. I get stuck on craze, and I get stuck on I just get stuck on DJ. I watch the Boiler Room sessions and all that shit, just as a DJ coming from some shit. And then I look at the freedom, and I'm seeing what even Premier. Did you ever see that Tiny Desk with Premier?
No.
That a must see with his band. But just seeing what he was doing, even from my school, one of my teachers, and seeing what he's doing with the technology, I'm like, oh no, nigga, I'm not gonna sit back anymore, man. I be leaning on Ron.
Like I think Serato has improved DJing to me as far as the true DJs. Like you ain't got to carry a million crates into the club, just your laptop. You can spin records and do the air horns and all types of sound effects. Before you had to put on a sound effects record and scratch that shit in.
I mean, even when I don't know how to feel about that. Even it's like you're like ba chicka ba 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 chicka ba ba, and you can hit the button
and it'll loop
to make it come back. But you can even like it's. In some way, you look at it as almost like, man, nigga, you cheating like shit. Like if you see somebody like ba chicka ba 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 chicka ba chicka ba ba ba.
Honestly, the cheaters are the guys who go in and just do this, and the record just plays. That's it, and they don't do nothing.
I've seen that shit. I saw some shit on the fucking thing where it like does a scratch for you or something. Like it's like
what?
One of the settings where it was like it's like, oh, you can hit it's called scratch something mode, and blah, blah. I was like, wait the fuck up. So the nigga ain't scratching?
Chirp mode.
I'm like, this nigga chirping. What the fuck is this? The fuck out of here, man. I'm like, but at the same time, the incredible shit you could do. I could think about team demo shows where we would go so hard as to press up. We would take our glass pressing out just to be ahead of the game, to be like, because me, Wise, and Jason, and our whole philosophy, and back then was fuck that. We gonna try to play our shit. We don't want to play too many instrumentals or rapping over somebody else's instrumentals. We want to rap over our shit when we perform. And then there just would be times where we would go as hard as we could until think you pressing up the vinyl, you out here promoting the single or the album, and you go back and you take. We would take the glass pressing out because we didn't have the single yet to have the instrumental, but we knew we had to do a show, so we'd be, fuck that. I'm talking about, I had some bad experiences with that shit, because that shit's good for like 2 or 3 spins.
That's it.
And that's it. If you get that for real. I mean, and we in a smoky, dirty dungeon club performing somewhere, that shit would I would just see the shit go, I'd be like, oh, different. That shit would just slide off the glass. But looking at the things you can do now with Serato, and you don't even, like you said, you can put the record out, put the video out, go out and perform it, with no problem.
Yeah.
Like all off of, you can play your MP3s. I can play tons of beats, do all my ill scratches to shit, and put my echoes and effects. I mean, it's amazing to see that, where technology's come, and know the limitations are. It's like, I remember Wise always told me, it's not really what you can't do, it's just like, how can I do it?
Right.
So.
Right. I remember when I was DJing heavy, like I didn't rely on like some people would label the beats per minute on the record. I never did that.
Me neither.
I never did. I would listen to the records at home and determine, okay, this might go with this. Like I did a lot of experimenting in the club, like, because I rarely did my mixes at home. I would just do everything in the club just to get crowd reaction.
Me too. I'm and I remember certain DJs I would see do a certain mix, and you got to the point where you were going to the clubs and peeping them, and you'd be like, nigga, that's the same fucking mix. Like, the exact same. It's almost like seeing a comedian when you thinking, oh, this motherfucker's raw. He's up in here freestyling this shit. Wow, man. I would see, you see the HBO special, and you'd be like, oh, it's the same shit. It's the same, and it's the same exact format, the same punchlines. It lays down. It's the same DJ set. He's like, he's starting with this, he's starting with that. I'm almost listening. I was like, oh, here comes. Yep, he's gonna play that.
A lot of radio mix shows were like that in the 90s. Like a lot, you could predict what was gonna come on next.
I always felt like CeeLo and Iron kept it fresh. I remember one time, one of them started the show with "Catch a Fire" by Bob Marley. Just like started the show, and it was just bugged out that it was just like going to. I remember we were in a car, like more like what the fuck, like thinking it was on some sample shit, like oh somebody's about to come in and break some shit up right now, and then they went right back into the show, and it was just kind of like I felt like, especially at that climate where it was new single, new joint every week, like or every other, you had Diamond D. I remember, oh man, the Pete Rock 12 inches, the Diamond D 12 inches,
right.
The remixes, you got such a bang for your buck. You would get the songs, instrumental, and maybe 2 or 3 remixes of the one song by your favorite producer, and them motherfuckers was breaking that shit every night they was on.
Iron broke Sporty Thieves in this market.
Wow. Slept on album, by the way.
Oh.
Slept on album. Shout out to the Thieves, and all my guys in the circle, in the Demolition. Oh man, rest in peace, Brando. I always thought Big Dubes and what's my name? King Kirk was retarded. I just thought the 3 of them is retarded. We go see now you go, but that Street Cinema. If you don't have
Before its time.
Go people. Oh man,
produced by Ski.
It's produced by fucking Ski.
Produced by Ski.
One of the best ever. What's my shit? The title song was my shit. I remember we got off on that instrumental at shows all the time. I've sampled those drums. Oh my! I mean that motherfucking 12-inch when it came out. Cause I remember the other song or something that's on it was just alright. But then when I heard Street Cinema, I said, "What the fuck?" And then of course, boom! I turn it over. I'm like, "Oh, that nigga Ski." And
yo, did you ever hear Did you ever hear the Street Cinema Pete Rock remix?
No. Street Cinema's. I need to hear it, but Street Cinema is one of those songs where I'm like, I don't need a remix personally.
But Pete Rock did
but
it?
I believe it. Pete probably killed it.
Oh my god. He used the Mardi Gras drums and a bass line, and that was it.
You gotta play that for me.
Yeah, I got on Spotify. I'll go to play it.
You gotta play that for me.
Yeah, we gotta go to the car, man.
Come on.
We gotta go to the car.
Let's do it hard join this. And see, eventually I wanna start, flooding, doing the things we were doing at the studio. I'm gonna try to do it right here and just flood these shits into, and then start, putting them over to a whatever. I haven't made a decision on what I want to do. If it's Ableton or Digital Performer, I usually probably go with what Wise would go with. But I want to start being able to dump a lot of these beats, like shit like this. Just needs that bass line, But and then look, this shit loading shit up. Ha! Niggas, I be seeing bands be like rolling through. I'm like, yeah, nigga, nah, you gotta get on your D. I remember the SCSI drives that would come with the ASR where you could put like 1,000 beats on it, and you could play them a little bit quicker. But the funny thing is, I remember one show we did at the Roxy, and Mooch brought his shit up because it was a lot of his beats, and he was gonna load them up. It just seemed like that shit always failed you when you really needed it. It would always be smooth, but anywhere you would get fucking SCSI. I remember there's so many times I didn't see somebody curse out their SCSI drive. But we were ill with it. The fact that we had a crew of guys that all had an ASR and all used them different. Chaz used it crazy different. Mooch used it crazy different. Wise, me, and Jason used it crazy different. And I don't think, you know, even E-Ball back in the days, everybody approached it different, but it made it so much fun to be around, to play your joints, and just, it was just so much rub off. It was friendly competition. It was a bond of teaching, or just like, yo, filter it, you know, I did this. Oh, word, you did it like that. Well, look, yo, I did this. And oh shit.
Man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Y'all had a bona fide star with the dude. I think he's in jail now. I think he killed somebody, but he was a fucking he had it.
And don't get me started on that dude, man.
What was his name?
Ransom 16.
Ransom 16.
I remember he won. I think he won like the Battle of the Mic like 16 times or something. I mean, this dude had it all. And the funny thing is, you just heard a taste of what we did with him. If you had ever heard the album, I mean, that nigga Jason was on his shit on that album. I contributed a couple, and you know, D's always overseeing and making sure the shit sounds tight and our bass lines and playing bass lines. I mean, but Wise is but not to say Wise is a motherfucker too when it comes to these beats. But it's just a majority of that project was Jay, and I still say sometimes we should just put it out just to put it out, you know, like for the fuck of it, because and niggas work so hard. But you know what? I think some of that shit got lost. We had a bad hard drive experience where we lost a rack of shit that was crazy. I think there's some Illa G shit on there that's crazy that got lost. And you know, it's funny, I have one of these days you have to come back and I'll play you some joints. I'll play you some exclusive or just some joints that never came out. That I probably will, in this next project I'm about to put out. I'm gonna put out Powerful Jewels Volume 1, which is all the work we did with like some of the greats. Like I got, you know, Crime Wave, the Haram, the Illa Prodigy joint, the great work we did with Sauce Money, the great work we've done with Wise P, my man Trickstar, whole bunch of little tidbits and tasty things on this first project. And then it's kind of like almost like a compilation / like greatest hits for the fans and for the people that love us, and just to have it out there. And then I'm gonna do Powerful Jewels Volume 2. I'm gonna keep the joints going, but we got some things cooking always. We always cooking. I can't never stop doing this. Let's see what this shit is. Could be whack. Oh, whoa.
No, it's not.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. I'm not. Let's see. Hold up. Something's wrong here. It's wrong. Wait a minute. Let me see You're bringing it out of me. You bringing out tasty tidbits that I might forgot about. Let's play one more. Let's play one more. Let's see what Crowd Pleaser sounds like. Musical family. Yeah, man. A dudes. You know, I'm gonna tell you. You know, you say Ransom was the stars. It's funny. I'm gonna tell you right now. You know who could have been the illest? The nigga Chaz could have been the illest.
Really?
If you heard Chaz's first project, even right now, that shit's crazy. Cuts, everything.
Did it come out?
Not like it should, not like we could have. You know, we were young, man. We've been at we still in high school, getting it. You know, fresh out, getting it. We was on it. You know, by the time we're coming out with all those records and stuff, we're in our early 20s. You know, just a bunch of dudes just putting money in a bag, trying to throw out. I think that's literally how we started out with our first tape for this, that, and the other. Like, yo, somebody come with $100 for this, that, and the other.
Right.
And then as time went on, you know, investing and whatever. But, you know, it's hard to do. It's hard. This hip hop game, this hip hop life is hard, man. It's not easy. It's not for the. If you don't love it, you know, it might not be for you. If you're in there for the smash and grab. Which I'm not mad, you know, I'm not mad at you, but there's a lot of these dudes that ain't gonna be around. Oh no. Sequence of this shit. Bugging. What was I doing? Visit this. This is kind of funky though. I remember, it's funny, we must be in a wave of discs where I really got on some Black Uhuru shit. And I was just chopping the shit out of whatever the fuck. I mean, I was just so blown away by their greatest hits compilation, and I was just like, man, I'm about to just tear this shit up. You know, I have no limitations on what the fuck I can touch, what the fuck I can sample. I'm gonna play you some shit. I've done took off a TV shit. I'm like anybody, man. There's nothing that I ain't gonna touch. Rock, country, whatever the fuck I hear. There might be some shit my lady's playing, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? She don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. She's like,
right.
I'm like, yo, what is that? Well, you know, something. I was like, yo, she's not even processing that I'm hearing a break,
right,
or a snatch and grab, or something, or a piece or a stab that I can play, you know. And I know it's in all of us where it's like in our head 24 hours a day. I know, even when I talk to Jay, he'll be like, oh, I was at work or something. They had something on in the background. I went home and chopped that shit up, you know. And I tell you what, it's amazing. You see, if I took you over to his lab, it's amazing what he does with an ASR and his phone. Amazing, you know. Jay, you know, some people get, you know, and I don't this might be another dud. I just want to hear what it was. I think these some drums I need to finish. See, look. I need to revisit this. Yeah, listen to something on it. That's what it says too. Look what it says. Drum finish. This might be fucking 5, 6, 7 years old.